We move to Tennessee to talk about the Tennessee Titans with Claudia Bellofatto and Alex Selznick, a.k.a. PropStarz. Claudia and Alex, I don't know what expectations are for the Titans. I mean, you look at their win total, and it's certainly not too impressive, but I think if this team gets to 5 or 6 wins, it's an okay season. Let's start at the quarterback position, though. Alex, I'm going to start with you. Cam Ward, what are your expectations?
I think it's going to be a steep learning curve for Cam Ward for a variety of reasons. I think the situation is very tough. Landing in Tennessee, I just look at the skill position players. Not a lot of talent. I would argue that this wide receiver tight end group might be the least talented in the NFL, certainly bottom 5, in my opinion. Also, when we're talking about the offensive line, I don't think they're an above average line. I would rank them as a bottom 5 line as well. And then we just look at Cam Ward and in his senior season, his last collegiate season, he was sacked on 16% of the time he was pressure. That is a very low mark, and typically guys that are sacked that often in college don't automatically translate to success in the NFL. So I think it's going to be a while before we see Cam Ward get comfortable, and I certainly don't think the situation is going to help him very much either.
Claudia, I agree with literally every single word Alex just said. What about you?
Yeah, you have to be careful regardless when it comes to expectations with number 1 overall picks, because they're going to the team that got that number 1 pick because they're the worst team in the NFL. Cam Ward might be the best quarterback in that class, but as we know, it wasn't a very talented quarterback class in general. And also look at Caleb Williams, Bryce Young, Trevor Lawrence. As good as they were and all the hype they had, we saw the growing pains. And for some of those guys, the growing pains are still there. So even with time, it may not get better. I will say, as far as Cam Ward goes specifically, he's without a doubt an upgrade. He does have the experience when you consider the 38 games with Washington State and Miami, 57 overall if you include Incarnate Word. So he has the experience in several different programs. I think he'll pick up the playbook quickly, but like Alex was talking about, the O-line's an issue. The weapons are an issue. As far as his skills go, I do think he brings something that they didn't have last year, and that's explosive ability. They were tied for the 6th fewest passes of 20-plus yards. That should change with him. He does have precision on the deep ball. He will take those shots and stretch the field. 12 touchdowns to just 1 interception with explosive plays for him last season. Plus, he's working with Brian Callahan, which I do think is going to help him, possibly with escaping that pressure like we saw. We saw the success he had with Joe Burrow as the Bengals OC, so I do think that benefits him. But really, it goes back to everything you guys agreed on. It's the pieces around him that worry me.
Talk to me about his touchdown total. It's a pretty low number, 18.5. Claudia, I'm going to start with you. It's minus 125 to the over. Maybe a garbage time argument? I don't know. What do you like?
Yeah, it feels so wrong to say under after he threw almost 40 in just 13 games at Miami, but this is a completely different scenario in a very different league. We just talked about the receiving room. They were able to hold on to Calvin Ridley, but they lost their touchdown leader in Nick Westbrook-Ikhine. In his place, who did they bring in? 32-year-old Tyler Lockett and 29-year-old Van Jefferson, who combined for a total of 4 touchdowns last season. I mean, they're giving this guy nothing. Honestly, Chigakonkwo, you talked about the tight end room, Alex. I think he has pretty good upside, and he could be that safety blanket for him. But I don't think there's enough options for this offense to be a big red zone threat overall. So I would lean under.
Yeah. After that argument, maybe I'm leaning under too. Alex, your thoughts here?
Yeah, I second what Claudia said. I'd lean under here as well. It's going to be a run-first offense. We know that. We're going to see a lot of the running backs here. And again, just looking at these weapons, I just do not think it's very conducive to a lot of statistical output. So there would have to be a lot of garbage time, and Cam Ward would have to stay healthy. I think a lot of things would have to go right, in my opinion, in order to eclipse this total, even though it is low. So I like the under here as well.
PropStarz, it sounds like we don't like the offense very much, but surely we love these defensive units, right?
Oh, wrong. See, this defense. Whew. Jeffrey Simmons, bona fide all-pro, exceptional game wrecker from the interior. Outside of Jeffrey Simmons, I don't know if they have another above-average starter on that defense right now. I have no idea how they're going to generate a pass rush. Looking at the secondary, it's in shambles as well. L'Jarius Sneed, who was their big free agent acquisitions the previous season, was absolutely dreadful. He ranked almost dead last in PFF's coverage grade last year. So this defense may be the worst defense in the NFL.
Claudia, your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm echoing everything that Alex just talked about, and injuries already popping up. L'Jarius Sneed, Wilson said he's our starting corner. He's already on the PUP list, and you get that defensive tackle duo back. And he just talked about Jeffrey Simmons, who also wasn't 100% last season when it came to health. And now T'Vondre Sweat is sidelined with an abdominal issue, which doesn't sound too serious, but that's not ideal heading into the season. And a lot of people might look at this Titans defense last year and say, well, that was their one bright spot, right? They allowed the second fewest yards, only behind the Eagles. But that was really just in the passing game because they let teams run all over them. And as sexy as that sounds, being in the top two with the Super Bowl champs, how many games did they win? It didn't matter. They couldn't turn the ball over. They had a problem when the other team was inside the 20. They allowed touchdowns on over 63% of the attempts that opposing teams had in the red zone. They allowed more points per game than anyone in the AFC. They struggled to get to the quarterback. So yeah, you can cherry pick some statistics and stats about the individual players on this line, but the defense is not going to be good.
All right, we got about a minute left to talk about the Titans. I will kind of put out the editorial for me is that I don't think this team gets to 5.5 wins. I've taken the plus number on the under, but let's get to our season-long Titans player props. Alex, 30 seconds or less on your favorite for the season.
Let's go Tony Pollard, under 875.5 rushing yards. Major questions about this Tennessee O-line. Tony Pollard has durability concerns. Tajay Spears, meanwhile, very likely to have an increased role this year. So I think this is a good spot to fade an aging Tony Pollard in what is going to be an offense that may not even be able to run because they're going to be playing from behind so often.
Claudia, speaking of aging, you like Calvin Ridley overs.
Yeah, I think game script is going to be a big part of this too. And that deep ball ability we talked about with Cam Ward. So I will go over this number on Ridley, 900.5. And I know that he's getting older, but he didn't have the luxury of the deep ball last season. He still finished with over 1,000 yards. We saw him put up almost 1,400 in 2020 with Atlanta in just 15 games. I know, again, he's older, but this is a very doable number for him for how these games are expected to go. He's going to be still the clear number one target. So I'd be shocked if he didn't hit this number.